Hello, and welcome to day 19 of Dungeon 23. Today we'll be making an addition onto this room down here, the zombie room with the skeletons. Weaker zombies, we made them weaker. Oh, and as you can see, I made a new sprite for the haunted armor. Something I'm really proud of. I think it looks cool. I give him a little plume and a sword and everything, so it looks cool. But that's a previous episode's room. We're going to be focusing on up here. So, what are we going to put here? I do have an idea. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to block these two off here. So this is going to be separate. Like that. We're going to expand this out a little bit further. And we're going to make a nice 4x4 room, or 20x20. You always say like, oh, it's a 5x5 or a 10x10 or a 30x30. Well, that's different. But it's like a 5-foot cube. So I'm going to be saying like 5x5 or 4x4. Just keep in mind that each square is 5 feet. That's pretty basic for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, is to have all of the basically units of measurements be in 5 square feet. So we're actually going to put doors here, so it does like more divergence. We're going to have these doors closed. We're going to have closed doors, but they're not actually going to be locked. They're just going to be closed. Now, what are we actually going to put in this room? We could just put, anything. We could leave it empty. But I do have an idea for a fun little thing. And I made a sprite for it. So, let me place them down. Alrighty. So, what we've done is we basically put down a little sprite in. Like a little sprites, CR 1/4. They can be pretty tricky because they do have quite a bit of spells, and they can turn invisible at will, and they do have a pretty good AC of 15 with a party that's usually has like a +4 for first level. That's gonna be like 45% chance to hit. I believe 45% chance to hit. So not too easy to hit, but also they have like 2 health. So if they gets hit, it's dying. You don't even have to like worry about HP. Just if it gets hit, it dies. Now we put it in this locked up little cage here. We're actually gonna set the DC of the cage to be pretty high. Lock. 18. It's not gonna be easy to pick up this cage, to lockpick this cage. However, the cage isn't like, it's the cage, it's not bolted down or anything. You could take it with you. It's not obviously not as big as a 5x5 foot square. It's like a bird cage. You could carry it with you. But inside is this fairy. As long as it's in the cage. Apologies for that sudden interruption. I had a connection issue. As I was saying, this little bird cage, you could take it with you, just unlocking it isn't super easy. And as long as the sprite, or rather pixie, this pixie, is in the cage, it can't really cast its spells. Now, what the pixie's gonna do is going to basically tell the party whatever they want to hear with the purpose of getting out of the cage. It'll lie, it'll persuade, it'll obfuscate truths, it'll do and say basically anything as long as it gets out of the cage. And what is it going to do when it gets out of the cage? It's going to immediately cast polymorph on someone, probably turn him into like a cat, like a frog, or a lizard, and then fly away and turn invisible. Why? Because it's a fairy, and fairies are scumbags. Now, polymorph isn't permanent. I think it's actually concentration. Only lasts for like a minute or 10 minutes. So it's not going to be like a permanent thing. It's just a little, FU for helping out the fairies. But having a fairy in a cage could be pretty valuable. Maybe somewhere deeper in the dungeon, there's going to be like a hag, or maybe a troll, or a necromancer, some weirdo who would trade the fairy for something. You're like, oh, do you want to give this kind of chaotic scumbag to just an evil creature? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe a wizard could take it as a familiar if they manage to persuade it, or maybe if they get higher levels, possibly they could take it as a familiar. I don't know. It's just a fun little thing that's in this room. So yeah, a pixie, not a pixie, a sprite. No, a pixie. They're easily confused, but a sprite is like more like combat focused. They have like a bow and a short bow. A sprite just has cantrips and spellcasting. One's more of a fighter, one's more of a mage. But yeah, a sprite, no. A pixie in a cage. A pixie in a cage, DC 18 on lockpick it. Or you can just carry it around with you, not too hard to do. Next episode, we will be making an addition onto this area down here again. Possibly we might have these go out further. We actually do have a lot of space to work with. We should probably put in some larger rooms. We're not even going to get back to the old, early version of the entrance. So I probably actually could have, reused this one, but we would have to move it around. Also, I'll probably have to make a new slithering tracker token. As you can tell, I like stick figures. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that algorithm stuff. And I apologize for the poor quality. It is not going to improve.